Welcome back, True Seeker. It is Friday, November 3rd, 2023. And big story today, Netanyahu spoke to a live Israeli audience in his own nation. And he said there will be no ceasefire in Gaza until every hostage is freed. And right now, Israel's saying Hamas has 241 hostages. And consider they say Hamas is backed by Iran, and consider that we once had the Iranian hostage crisis with Jimmy Carter, who's been in hospice care since the beginning of the year, who just celebrated a birthday in October right before all this popped off. But as it happens, tomorrow, Saturday, just like how this war began on a Saturday, which is the Sabbath day, which is to be kept holy, which is the day the Jews still worship on, and Christians are supposed to worship on Saturday too. It's the Catholic Church that moved the day of worship to Sunday. But tomorrow, the Sabbath day, November 4th, sure it falls on a Saturday, it'll be the 44th anniversary of the Iranian hostage crisis beginning that lasted 444 days and ended with Jimmy Carter departing the Oval Office, being replaced by Ronald Reagan on his Make America Great Again campaign. So, with regards to it being the 44th anniversary of the Iranian hostage crisis starting tomorrow, remember where that number matters with Israel. The father of Zionism, Theodore Herzl, died July 3rd, 1904, at the age of 44. And then Israel was created 48 years later in 1948. Netanyahu, the other year at the UN, he tried to intimidate Obama, who was the 44th president, with 44 seconds of silence. And Netanyahu was a critic of Obama, saying Obama didn't do enough to support Israel, even though Obama gave more money to Israel than any president before him. But this was a ritual at the time, and it was explained that that's what it meant. It was directed at Obama, the 44 seconds of silence. But again, you learn Gematria. Gematria is the simple practice of coding numbers into words. And for example, as you see here on the screen, the word ceasefire, that's the topic here. No ceasefire until the hostages are returned. And he does it late on a Friday, just hours before it ticks into November 4th, which again will be the 44th anniversary of the Iranian hostage crisis beginning that again lasted 444 days. But the way you get this numerical value, C is the third letter of the alphabet, so C is worth 3. E is the fifth letter, so E is worth 5. A is the first, so it's worth 1. If you're looking at S and going, why is S 1 as well? S is the 19th letter using the alphabetic order. If A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, S is the 19th letter. The numerology of 19 is 1. And if you don't know what numerology is, it's taking a larger digit number and you keep adding the number together until you get down to a single digit. So S, the 19th letter, is 1 plus 9 is 10. 10 is still 2 digits, so you add 1 plus 0, which becomes 1. So the 19th letter becomes 10, becomes 1. E is the 5th letter. F is the 6th letter. I is the 9th letter. So all these correspond in the alphabetic order. R is the 18th letter. So what's the numerology of 18? 1 plus 8 is 9. So R is 9. E is the 5th letter. It's 44. So look, this list of words all have gematria of 44. Military, soldier, infantry, trooper, officer, execution, kill, Zion, Israel, Netanyahu. And if you're saying, wait a minute, I'm doing the math and it's different, good for you, you're paying attention. There are 4 ciphers of the English language that you really want to know. There's even more than 4, but you want to know these 4. If you learn these 4, you'll be able to see. Again, if you take the alphabetic order in numerology, as we just discussed, military is 44. If you just take the alphabetic order without numerology, military is 107, like October 7th, like the day this military conflict began, the anniversary of us invading Afghanistan in a military conflict, which came after 9/11 in the time of Giuliani, who was the 107th mayor of New York City. And 9/11 happened on his 107th day of his age. And the million other examples we've covered over the years. So there are numerical values that are very important, and it's the alphabetic order. The alphabetic order with numerology, we began with where 44 really matters here. The reverse alphabetic order and the reverse alphabetic order with numerology. Notice The word Zion, for example, is 44 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, and Israel is 44 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse numerology. Just like Netanyahu, with his 44 seconds of silence, now participating in this ritual. And keep in mind, it's synced up with Jimmy Carter, who was from the fourth state in order of statehood, Georgia, the state that has all the 44 rituals that we note time and time again, like Trump getting his fourth indictment in the fourth state. And when the rumor broke that it was going to be, he was going to be indicted for the fourth time, that news broke on Trump's 60th day of his age. And there's a big relationship with 4 and 60, and we're about to have the 60th U.S. presidential election, and Donald Trump's 60, and he's trying to do what nobody's done since Grover Cleveland, and he'll be 78 at the time of the election, like how he did 2016. His 2016, what's it called? GOP convention in Cleveland. If you're not following me, I'm going too fast. Don't worry about it. Let's just come back to the ritual that's going on in Israel. I'm just making the point about how all these guys are participating in these rituals because they're all in the club, and we, the people, are the audience that's always being mocked. We're being mocked with knowledge we've never been taught about, like what I'm showing you right here. Again, I wish somebody would have taught this to me when I was a young person. I would have put it to the test, and I would have saw things right away. I had to wait till I was 30 looking for answers, and thankfully came across Manly P. Hall's The Secret Teachings of All Ages. But again, if you're new here, for over a decade now, I've been doing this since 2013. We were talking about the Iranian hostage crisis and why it was 444 days and what 4 and 44 mean in this language. You know, why they do this a decade ago. So we're a decade later, and it's like, look now what they're doing. The thing about tomorrow, November 4th, again, if you're new here, who's doing this to us? It's the Jesuit order. That's why we're on the Catholic Church's calendar. We're speaking a language that goes back to them. That's why there's a lot of things, but you got to go back to the 16th century. You can see how history's been moved this way since. Anyway, tomorrow is November 4th, which can be written 114. It can also be written 411, which is a number tied to assassinations, including those in Israel's history. But Art of War is 114. We'll come back to that text if you don't know about it. World War is 114. Pearl Harbor is 114. That was the event that got the U.S. involved in World War II. And history is also 114. And the list goes on. History is also 75, like how Israel turned 75 this year, and the war began one day after the New York Times article from October 6, 1940, a date with 75 numerology, that the New World Order was pledged to the Jews. Again, look it up from the New York Times. Paper always run by Jesuits. October 6, 1940, New World Order pledged to Jews. It was pledged by Arthur Greenwood. He ended up dying at age 74, like how Gaza's getting wasted at age 74, like how 3 of the first 5 presidents died on 7-4. But anyway, Israel was 74 at the start of the year. It turned 75. And with regards to that headline being about the New World Order, that's a big fat 75, like Catholic Church. Again, we're on their calendar, like Roman Catholic, like Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, which is also 201, which is the number that's all over Israel's history from the beginning to the death of David Ben-Gurion, up to everything Netanyahu's been doing to what's going on with this war, right back to Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201. But again, it's not Netanyahu in charge of these rituals. It's the people who have him on puppet strings as well. They like him because he's got the super bass voice. He like plays a villain on the world stage. It's like that's part of the cabal's joke, to not see, to see that like they can control your mind so much that they just destroy your moral compass, and you knowing what's right side up from upside down. Like the news media's got people so backwards it's crazy. I mean, if you turn on cable news right now, between every news segment about Israel, there's 1-800 numbers to call and donate money to Israel. And as an American, you're already donating a lot of money to Israel. A lot of your tax money goes to Israel and other U.S. military operations abroad, which Israel's absolutely one of. Just like how the Jesuits formed this nation, they formed Israel. They came over from Europe. They've colonized the world. They are the New World Order, as we've proven a million times in a million different ways. But anyway, the news media is making you so backwards. You're a bad person if you're not sending extra money to Israel right now, first of all. Second of all, we're going to come back from commercial break and we're going to remind you that if you're doing anything to, like, you know, support Gaza or ask for us to stop attacking Gaza, you're a bad person and you don't have perspective what's going on over there. These people need to be genocided to save the Israelis. I mean, it's almost like presented this way on the news, whether you're watching Fox or CNN. It's like, seems pretty biased here. But then it's like, and look at this college campus. They shouted freedom to the sea. And they don't realize what, they're saying this means the genocide of Israel. I don't think that the people out there chanting that think that's what it means. I think they just want, freedom for all people over there. Enough of what we've been, since I was a little kid, the phrase has been peace in the Middle East. For all of our lifetimes, this has been this festering wound in humanity where everyone's fighting over their religion, right? That's the story. But yeah, it's more than that. It's a festering wound that's being manipulated by occultists who do it by a repetitive pattern and a code all throughout history. Again, the Jesuits, you guys, tomorrow 114. That this thing that had, again, when all this Iranian hostage crisis was going on, Cold War, there's been just rumors of war and World War for a long time. When is the bubble going to burst? Remember, Netanyahu came back on 12/29, which is Albert Pike's birthday, who wrote the letter on the Jesuit order's birthday, or at least that's when it was published, August 15th. About the 3 world wars, and the third to come being about political Zionism. Now these days you talk about history and you're called a hate speaker. It's like, I'm not even trying to take like a position like that. I'm just saying these are the facts on the table. Let's look at what's going on. Okay, if it is Zionism, does that mean, technically a Zionist is anyone who supports the state of Israel. Anyone is a Zionist who supports the state of Israel, technically. But again, that's still, there's so much gray area in that because people have there's people who are Zionists who want to blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque to build the third temple there. Like that's an element within Zionism. And then there's probably people who just have, they're accepting the mainstream storylines. They're not questioning a lot of things. They're decent people like a lot of people. But they're like, well, they made that as a preserve for Jews because they'd been kicked out of all these countries and they nearly got genocided in the Holocaust. So it's just like a way to keep it from happening again. And that's where they are in the story. That's their complete understanding of the story. They're not thinking about how they grew up in the United States and they skip all of World War I and how Germany was dead broke and made to pay reparations and where did Hitler get his military from and all this wealth? They kind of just skip that in our 13 years of slave school, pledging to the 13 stripes. The other day the New York Times dropped, what was it, in September? Maybe it was a little bit more than a month ago, end of September, around the time of the RFK Jr. assassination scare in LA. Might have been in that same news cycle if I'm not mistaken. But they said, it was found in the Vatican archives, the Jesuit priest letters about the Holocaust, and the Pope just didn't respond to those letters. They always act like the Catholic Church didn't know what was going on. Please. They got their own central bank. Who do you think financed the war? So, anyway, Art of War was translated by a Jesuit priest. The only reason we know about this text, Art of War, the author is supposedly Sun Tzu. But if you look into Sun Tzu, he's kind of like Jesus. There's no true historical record of Jesus ever existed. There's no true historical record that, and people will get mad. They'll say, the Bible. Okay, outside of the Bible, there's no other source that you can verify that it's true. So the Bible could be the one source, and that's all you need, and it could be right. I'm not even going to argue these things. But the point is, Jesus has parallels to Sun Tzu because there's no historical record anywhere that a Sun Tzu ever existed. But you think about the name Sun Tzu. What's his first name? Sun. Okay, the Catholic Church began as a sun cult. The Jesuits' logo is the sun. With instruments of death, the Roman capital punishments. If you don't know what the Jesuit logo is, it's the sun with the letters IHS, which is Isus Hominum Salvator, Jesus, Savior of Man, and then it has the crucifix in the Templar cross form, and 3 nails, which represent triclavianism, which is how Jesus was crucified, which is Roman capital punishment. And remember, the Romans destroyed the second temple in 70 AD, and don't forget, Israel declared this war 70 days before the Pope's birthday on a Sunday, October 8th, Vatican 70, like Francis. The Iranian hostage crisis, in history, there were 70 hostages. And like I've been saying, when you realize that history is being rolled out by a Kabbalistic code, again, this whole letters and numbers thing comes from Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. Let's just make that point real quick about Jewish mysticism. Then I need to hurry up and go, actually, I'm running behind. Jewish mysticism, Gematria 201, just like the Jesuit orders 201, just like State of Israel's 201, David Ben-Gurion, who declared it a nation, died in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. The founder of the Jesuits, again, Ignatius of Loyola's 201. The first Jesuit pope is Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201, and his birth name's Jorge Mario Bergoglio, which is 201, and his apartment has a name if you look it up. It's the Domus Sancte Marte, which is 201, and Messi just won the World Cup for him the day after his birthday, and Messi stayed separate from the team in room 201, and a million more examples. Inauguration day on 20/1 in this nation, 201, the 201st day of the nation's age each year, and Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, he recently did the funeral for Beau Biden again. Sorry for all you guys who watch all the videos. I'm always hoping there's new people here listening. Again, Beau Biden died 201 days before the Pope's birthday at age 46. Joe Biden's elected number 46, 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday. And the man who did the funeral and the inauguration, Beau Biden at 46, Joe Biden as number 46. Leo Jeremiah O'Donovan, former head of Georgetown in D.C., Jesuit priest. 201. And again, the list goes on and on and on and on. And let's not forget the Holy Bible is another 201. And we know the Bible as we know it because of the Catholic Church and the Jesuits who've been here in the time of printed Bibles. Who tried to blow up British Parliament because they didn't like King James Bible. And here, with regards to the Catholic Church and the influence on Israel. Here, one second. Hold on, you guys. Hello? Yes. Okay, I got about a 30-minute drive, so I'll be there in 30. All right, thank you. Okay, sorry, I got to get going, but hold on. I got to do this real quick. The first hostage video released, again, Netanyahu said today, no ceasefire ends until the hostages are released. The first video they put out was this woman, Mia Shem. And just notice how her name in Gematria, Mia Shem, 71, 35, 145, 46. Again, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. David Ben-Gurion equals 145 as well. Established Israel on the 14th day of the 5th month. Died in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. But the 35, remember Hamas has the Gematria, or Gaza has the Gematria 35, and Hamas is 35 years old right now. And then October 7th, the day of the attack, was on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days before the Pope's birthday. Then the war was declared the next day, 70 days from his birthday, by Israel. And remember, it was declared on October 8th, and we talked about all the reasons it's so significant. You should go back and watch that video, but also it's the day leaving 84 days left in the year. You know, George Orwell's 1984 about these nations being ruled over by screens, always intimidation, language is changing, everything's changing. It's hard to know what anything is because everything's just shifting in the world. Again, I mean, he was a member of the Fabian Society established in 1884, and in Gematria, Zionism equals 84, so does Masonry, so does Jesuit, so does the Jesuit order, so does the Catholic Church, goes all the way back to Ignatius Loyola dying 84 days from his birthday. The first superior general, the founder. And maybe back then somebody hijacked the order from that day on. Maybe the Jesuits got way more sinister than Ignatius Loyola ever planned. It's like you start something sinister, it can get even more sinister, it can get even uglier than you imagined it to be. But anyway, look at the Mia Shem thing, and then it's not just the Mia Shem Gematria overlap. Here's what's crazy. Shem are a tribe of the Jewish people in the Bible. And they are mentioned in Genesis, the opening book of the Bible that the Abrahamic religions are based in. And by the way, look at how Abrahamic equals 187. There's 187 chapters in the Torah that the Abrahamic religions are based in. But 1021, Genesis 1021 mentions the Shem people. The first hostage is Mia Shem. Now you have Netanyahu's ritual synced up with this. But his birthday is 1021. Netanyahu turned 74 years old on October 21st. And remember, just with the most simple cipher, Jewish, here, hold on, got something on the keyboard. Jewish, 74, like occult, like Masonic, again, like killing. Again, Gaza's 74 right now. The leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa's 74 right now. He'll turn 75 on November 12th. By the way, all you Steelers fans, your franchise run by Jesuit family Rooney, they just lost a family member at age 84. We've seen that happen before with the Rooney family. And the Steelers just got their 666th regular season win last night, and now their next game's against the Packers, exactly 666 weeks after Super Bowl 45, where the Packers beat the Steelers, and Vince Lombardi, who founded the Packers, was also a Jesuit. But, and he died at Jesuit Georgetown unexpectedly. Wasn't it the the day before the opening day of the 1970 season. But with regards to it being Super Bowl 45 and now this ritual on the Superior General's birthday with the Jesuits in 666, IHS is 45 for Super Bowl 45, but IHS is also 46. Last night, the over-under was 36 for the game. If you add 1 through 36 together, it equals 666. 666 is the 36th triangular number. Remember, the Jesuits were all over the Clade-X and Event 201 simulations. And the Clade-X simulation was exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared on March 11, 2020. But anyway, 36 was the over-under last night. The score was 20-16 on 20-date numerology. Titans equals 20, and Tennessee's the 16th state, and this NFL week will finish with 136 games, the 16th triangular number. And again, the reason we're looking at all this stuff is because we know how the whole game's rigged, and we've been taking advantage of it for a long time. We thought there was a strong chance last night the score could be about 20-16 or 19-16, somewhere in there. 2 weeks in a row, we're about a point off on the final score of Thursday Night Football. And yeah, here, just to tell you guys how sick it is for all of you guys who pay attention this far into the video. Kansas City will have the first game on Sunday because they're playing in Frankfurt, Germany. First game in Frankfurt, Germany versus Miami. And Tyreek Hill used to be on the Chiefs. Last night, when the Steelers got their 66th, last night the Steelers got the 66th home win of the season for all the NFL games combined. The 66th, so the home record is now 66-57 for home teams this NFL season. So the next home game is going to count as the Chiefs. They're the home team in Germany against Miami. And the stadium that the game is in is Frankfurt Stadium, which equals 67. But that number's big with Kansas City, too. Kansas City's also 67. Last week, the Broncos upset Kansas City, and Russell Wilson got his 67th career home win. And again, that's the value of this knowledge, you know? So the whole game is rigged, you guys. They're doing this all over. And that's why I said, when I started to realize this a decade ago, I was like, okay, I had to think bigger. I was like, when I started to learn about this, I didn't realize how big it was going to be. I didn't realize how the politics and the news and the sports would all be connected. But from observing it, I started to be like, they are doing this. So I had to start thinking deeper. How is this even possible? Again, that's how it took me back to the 16th century, language being standardized with the 26-letter alphabet at the same time the calendar's coming out. I'm like, okay, these things were synced up in history. Okay, who could have done this? Research more. Oh, the Jesuits came into being. The oldest English script is credited to a Catholic monk. Okay, the church. Well, that makes sense because we're on the church's calendar. Again, it was logical conclusions a decade ago that this research is built on. The people who come here and can't understand what I'm showing are just illogical people, and there's a lot of them. A lot of cookie-cutter, useful idiots have been made by this slave beast system, including the 13 years of mindlessly pledging to the 13 stripes that came out of 13 colonies that supposedly got free from the United Kingdom as we become the United States. Again, this United Kingdom, the sun never sets on Britain. This is what's going on, you guys. That's why English is the most commonly taught language in the world. Again, that most simple cipher. English, 74. Gematria, 74. Occult, 74. Masonic, 74. Killing, 74. Stabbing, 74. Jesus, 74. Not his true name. Name contrived for the English language. Cross, 74. Messiah, 74. Gospel, 74. Or the gospel, the plural. The story of Jesus, the gospel. And the Messiah word's another one. Parables, he spoke in parables. Jesus spoke in riddles. They're laying down riddles every day. A riddle with 74-year-old Netanyahu, right? On his 74th birthday, his birthday's 10/21, where in the Bible the people of Shem are mentioned, and then, you know, behind this girl and all the other stories that come out of it, he's bombing the hell out of Gaza, which is 74 years old. And again, you see Gaza. Remember when Israel turned 73, the week of its 73rd birthday, they laid waste to Gaza. And now while Hamas is 35 years old, which is obviously some controlled intelligence thing, they're wasting Gaza. And hold on, let's go back to the dates. Wasn't it 35 days? Let me go back and check here. The war was declared by Israel August 8th, Sunday, and if I'm not mistaken, yeah, so the war was officially declared by Israel on Hamas 35 days before the Superior General's birthday. Again, Gaza's 35, right? Catholic is 35. The first U.S. president that was Catholic was JFK, number 35, killed at age 46. Joe Biden, the second Catholic president, number 46, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, inaugurated on the Pope's 35th day of his age. But Catholics 35, like Holy See, that's the territories the Catholic Church controls, like Israel, like Europe, which they used to be the government for. That's why this country was founded. The Europeans who were escaping the tyranny of Europe, which was the Catholic Church. Hello, Protestant Reformation. Jesuitism. Try to find the old definition of Jesuitism. The old definition, it's the Jesuits. It's the things they do. But Webster's, some of the old dictionaries, you could tell, even had it out for the Jesuits. A lot of people did not like the Jesuits. Like, that's the original American sentiment. The Catholic Church is tyranny. But the old definition in the dictionary for Jesuitism was trickery and deception. Well, what do you think's going on every day? Why do you think 2 towers became 0, became 1, and then we blew up a whole bunch of caves in Afghanistan, and then, oh, he's not even there, he's in Pakistan. And then he dies on his 54th day of being 54 years old, does Osama, and they break the news at a baseball game. You see how terrorism's 54? Osama died on his 54th day, being 54 years old. You see how terrorist is 52? He died on May 2nd, but they broke the news at a baseball game. Remember how the Mets game, they had it. The game of 54 outs, turning Islam, which equals 54, into, this terrorist network. And again, the real terrorists are right here. They're domestic. They're in these other nations too, Again, this Jesuit apparatus. Look up who the guy was who said they're the greatest intelligence agency in the history of the world. Remember, their number's 201. It's not an accident the CIA was established on the 201st day of the Pope's age, just like it's not an accident that the words in the CIA's logo equal 201, nor does their motto. Their motto is Gematria is also 201. But anyway, I got to get out of here, Truth Seeker. I am running late. And again, thank everyone who's liking the share. And shout out to 13 Serpents again, man. You're another guy who's given so many donations, you don't ever need to give another one, but I do really appreciate your generosity. Thank you. All right, have a good one, Truth Seeker. Again, please do hit the like and share. This word has to get out. If you think your friends and family don't do anything with your post because you never get a like or interaction, that's not necessarily true. They might just be too intimidated to say anything. But you're just planting seeds by putting the information out there. All right, until next time.